Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Dan and I'm here to bring you another FPL video. So in this one we're going to be looking at my team selection for game week 13. Of course that's coming up fast and furious again this weekend. We've already midway through game week 12, so I'll be breaking down how the team's got on so far, just a couple of talking points on that, and then of course yes, we'll head into the team selection for this week. Captaincy, bench options and possible transfer targets are all covered in this video. So if you're new around here, then please do consider subscribing to the channel. It's completely free. We're well on our way to 500 subscribers now. Broke that 400 mark last weekend, so thank you for all the support if you are already subscribed. And yeah, of course, if you like the content, as always, smash that like button below. So let's jump into the video for today. So first of all, we've got the review of how I've got on so far in game week 12. So as you can see on screen here, I'm currently sat at 43 points with 3 players left to play. I've got James Justin, Andreas Pereira and Mitrovic all to feature for me this evening. Currently, the green arrow looks like it's heading towards the 700k mark. Depending on the outputs from obviously today's games, we'll know after that on how much of a green arrow it is. But I think at this point I'm pretty confident with ownerships that I'm probably going to get a green arrow from 890,000 into wherever essentially Mitrovic, Justin and Andreas can put me in. But yeah, we've essentially got a very, very strong squad now. I think, you know, there's a couple of little minor tweaks that I need to make, but you know, to be honest, there's not really much headache for me at the moment. I wasn't too happy, of course, with the Salah captaincy blank, but then to be honest, I think most people would captain either him or Trossard, and in general, I don't think really there was a very, very high scoring week. So yeah, hence the green arrow, hence why I'm pretty happy for everything. So yeah, as you can see on screen, going through nets through to strikers, then we had Guaita in net. Unfortunately, you know, wiping out the clean sheet when he was at home to Wolves there. From a very rare goal from Traore, but still registering a few save points, meaning he got us 3 points. Then, of course, Nico Williams and Webster in that 0-0 draw. Very surprising on that scoreline, to be honest. And I even considered at one point removing Nico Williams for someone like Guehi. So that would have been a disastrous move, not only a -4, but potentially transferred Guehi in for just 1 point. But yeah, I stuck with it, didn't take the hit in the end. Just, you know, went with my gut feeling essentially. And Nico Williams specifically, he hasn't actually registered a return since I think it's somewhere around game week 6 when he got his assist. And then I think before that, Forest had only kept 1 clean sheet in the first 11 game weeks. So to come away with a return from him is very, very surprising, but also very, very good. Of course, Webster I brought in last week, and I was happy to know that there was almost a banking of a clean sheet coming in against this Forest side. So to get the 6 points there was no surprise. So I'm happy he returned for me. Trippier, I have actually added the little kind of team of the week icon from the FPL website. And yeah, essentially he is part of that team of the week. So featuring, I'll do that moving forward, just to showcase essentially where the picks have worked out or not from a team of the week perspective. So let me know your thoughts based on the graphics as well while we're touching on additions. I've just changed it a little bit, essentially gone with the fixture that they played as well as the points, and of course the difficulty rating is also highlighted by the border of the player now as well as just the slot underneath. So let me know your thoughts in the comments if you think this is a bit more clear. But yeah, so going into James Justin, of course he's yet to feature, so 0 points from him. Salah captaincy blank, already mentioned that. A little bit disappointed in that, but overall still happy to own him ahead of his great fixtures. Andreas, of course, yet to feature. Zaha with a phenomenal goal. Very, very happy that he's in the team. He was a little bit painful to own at times, I think, over these past few weeks. You know, on an eye test perspective, he can really go quite vacant on the pitch for some time, but I think at home it just showcases when the crowd are behind him, and he seemed really up for this game. Like I mentioned in the previous game, that I felt he wasn't involved enough. Like in some ways, when you tackle Zaha in an aggressive manner and you actually play up to his strengths, I think he actually feeds off of that energy. So there was a couple of challenges from Wolves that just went in maybe a little bit too rough for his liking, but it actually spurred him on to put in what I would consider a phenomenal performance overall, not just from an FPL perspective, but on the pitch he looked fantastic. So yeah, very happy to still own him moving forward. Then of course Trossard hitting the crossbar, I believe, and just in general having pretty much the kind of, the most kind of threatening player on the pitch, I would say, for this game week. But of course, also registered essentially a blank. But 3 points, we take it. We tried to target the fixtures. It didn't work out in this case, but he's more than likely going to be on the way out, as we'll see in the next few parts of the video. And then finally up front, we've got Mitrovic and Ivan Toney. Of course, Ivan Toney coming very, very close a couple of times, but Kepa making a fantastic appearance once again. I think probably arguably going to take out Mendy from that starting position now. And probably a very, very good asset, actually. If you're thinking about wildcarding, I will mention that at 4.5 million now, I think he's a budget access to Chelsea's defence, to be honest, and they're looking pretty solid. And with him in goal, of course, keeping Toney out, 2 points was kind of an expectation for me. I wasn't anticipating a return from him, but of course, avoiding that yellow card, that was the main thing really. So I did have some eyes on that game just to see if he would get suspended, but he fights on to play another game essentially. So very happy to own him, and of course Mitrovic, that third player that's yet to play. So overall, very, very happy, like I say, with how the team's performed. I think it could have gone a lot better, as every week can always go better, of course. But 43 points here with like I say, a green arrow as it currently stands, sat at 713k. Whether that changes much tonight is yet to obviously be determined. So tune in for the live stream if you want to find out some more specifics at the weekend ahead of that Saturday deadline, of course. So that's the team, how we shaped up and how we did. Let me know in the comments below how your team got on, and I hope it was as successful as mine for a green arrow. So as we mentioned, then it's the team selection time. We're starting off with goalkeeper and the nets. So Guaita is facing an Everton team away, so not exactly the kind of easiest fixture when it's at Goodison Park. I think they have a lot more energy when they're at home, Everton. But of course, they haven't been scoring that many goals, so I still think that's a great defensive fixture to target. For Gay owners as well, I still think he's playable in that fixture as well. Of course, we have the return of João Cancelo against Brighton at home. Can't wait to play this man again, to be honest, in my team, because, to be honest, with this midweek rest now that they've had, of course, Arsenal are going to be featuring tonight in the European fixture, whereas City have pretty much had a week break. I think he could do some real damage, to be honest. Brighton have had obviously 3 games in the space of a week, essentially. City have only had 2. It does make a massive difference, and of course it's at the Etihad, so I'm very, very confident with him back in the side. Of course, then Kieran Trippier, just return after return for this man. It's absolutely phenomenal. Even playing him against the tougher fixtures, I played him against United, and of course that being a scoreless draw meant he came away with 6 points there, 9 points against the most recent opponents this week. It's just absolutely phenomenal how this man can keep performing. So I think a Tottenham away side, yes, Conte will probably be looking for a reaction after that disappointing showing at Old Trafford this week. But I think, to be honest, we've got to keep playing him, right? He's on the set pieces. He seems to be on, from an attacking point of view, the reason why he got the 3 bonus in this game week is because of how attacking he was and how many chances he was creating. So very happy to still play him against a Tottenham that maybe are a little bit scarred from this week. And of course, James Justin. Now, again, he hasn't returned on the times that I've played him, but hopefully after this evening when they do play Leeds, that there is some kind of attacking return or that defensive return from him. And going in against Wolves next week, I think again, it was a rare goal from Wolves when they scored against Palace. It's again a target I feel like a fixture I believe should be targeted from a defensive point of view, because Wolves just aren't ticking. They're just Diego Costa is not at full speed. He's not what he used to be, and without Jimenez and their summer signing striker being injured after 1 game, it's just a little bit of turmoil for that club overall. So I think that James Justin warrants his starting place just based on the fixture alone, to be honest. So that's the defenders. We've then got the midfielders up next. So not really much changed here from course last week. Yeah, I haven't made any transfers. The only difference here is that Maddison comes in ahead. Once again comes in based on his suspension being removed. It's against Wolves also, so I think he has the potential to do some damage there. Of course, it is an away fixture, so a lot of my players are playing away, to be honest. So there's only a couple of home fixtures there from the City boys. But yeah, generally speaking, I think after his suspension, he's obviously had this now kind of midweek rest as well to some degree. So we'll see what he can do against Wolves, and I'm happy that I didn't sell him and kind of knee-jerk him out based on the injury news, because I feel like this fixture is good enough to target and then maybe move him on for the week after. Of course, mentioned already with this talisman man Zaha, I think again Everton is a great fixture from an attacking point of view, as they've not kept many clean sheets across the season so far, and again being on penalties and just in general, I feel like his presence in that Crystal Palace team definitely warrants him being selected in this FPL squad. Of course, then Trossard, disappointing for this week, but he is probably going to be, or he's more than likely, I think 99% sure I'm going to be transferring him out this week. It kind of doesn't make sense to hold him through these difficult fixtures when I can easily move him on to a couple of players, which we will mention at the end of the video. And then, of course, Mo Salah against Forest away. I just think, it was disappointing that he didn't register anything against West Ham, but these fixtures on the, coming up are just absolutely phenomenal. I can't see anything but possible returns for him. So, yes, I'm back onto the kind of Tumium draft in Haaland and Salah. But again, I'm more than happy, when we go into game week 16 and beyond, if he hasn't produced anything, then of course we're back to another wild card ready for game week 17 post World Cup, right? So Egypt aren't featured there. If I feel like the fixtures are good enough, or essentially there's nobody in form that warrants his removal, then so be it, he'll stay in the team. But absolutely, if there are some people in the World Cup that showcase their form and warrant that kind of premium choice, I won't hesitate to remove him as well, like I've already done this season. So yes, he did blank last week, but I think against Forest this has the potential for a double digit at least, right? So very, very happy to own him in this fixture. We've then got the three forwards to talk about here, and they are, of course, Mitrovic, Haaland and Ivan Toney. So Mitrovic with the Leeds fixture away, so very, very favourable for him. Leeds are not exactly, again, known for their clean sheet potential. So although Ellen Road is a difficult stadium to go to again, I still feel like that this man is, again, a Fulham talisman. He's on penalties, has the potential to return, so very, very happy to own him. Haaland against Brighton is more than likely going to be my captaincy choice, just because of the fast turnaround that every other squad has had. I think with 1 week rest, he's going to be firing on all cylinders, wanting to prove that, he didn't get anything against Liverpool the last weekend. He's kind of shut out, really, to be honest. I think he's going to want to get his shooting boots ready and potentially do some damage against Brighton. Although they aren't, they're not exactly non-formidable opponents. They're in the top half of the table. Brighton have had a fantastic season so far. I still think that this man at the Etihad, he's a little bit unstoppable, right? So I think I'm probably going to lean towards the captaincy on him over Mo, but we will see what happens. And of course, then Ivan Toney against a Villa side, also one of the teams that are potentially, sort of struggling in that bottom half of the table. We'll have to see how they get on against Fulham as well tonight to see how much damage Toney could potentially do. But like I mentioned already in the breakdown of the points scored, he had a good few clear chances against Chelsea, who are a bit more formidable, let's say, than Villa at the back. So I can see him doing again some damage like he did previously, and another double digits maybe coming his way. So ahead of this World Cup, I just think he's got plenty to prove to Southgate that he belongs in that England squad. So I just think, this is a great run of fixtures for him, and I'm glad he avoided that yellow card in that Chelsea fixture. So very happy to be playing him as well. And then finally, last but not least, as mentioned, captaincy, vice captaincy, and of course my bench. So at the moment I've got my captaincy armband firmly on Haaland. It is a little bit difficult. Bringing in Mo Salah has meant that there's been a bit of a headache for me in terms of who I select. But I'm confident that because of Salah's essentially quick turnaround in games, that's not to say that he can't do some serious damage against Forest. But I feel like owning him is at least enough, right, to cover any of the kind of captaincy against him. As long as he doesn't go and score a hat-trick and Haaland blanks, then I'm happy pretty much, I think, to just vice-captain him on this occasion. But of course, come the deadline, things may change. So definitely feel free to tune in to find out my final decisions on that. And then, of course, in terms of the bench, we've got Iverson playing Wolves, who, to be honest, again, it's a 3.9 keeper that's not playing. I took maybe a little bit of a gamble on him potentially taking over Danny Ward's spot, but at 3.9, I'm still happy on saving that extra 0.1 million in the long term. Of course, Andreas Pereira against Leeds away. I don't really feel like there's any situation where I play him. I mean, benching Trossard doesn't sound right to me because I'm inevitably going to sell him. There is a possibility that I could leave this week's fixtures, essentially go with Andreas against Leeds and then have 2 free transfers in game week 14, but I just feel like that's maybe a bit too slow. Of course, there are certain players that will be wildcarding this week, and I feel like I need to jump back on board with the Arsenal and the City guys to kind of, make sure I'm not damaged so much in terms of rank moving forward, right? So that's kind of my thinking, but who knows? There could be some team news, after the games tonight. It could change the thinking slightly, but this is how we are running up to game week 13 so far. And then, of course, Webster and Nico Williams finally there as bench options that probably won't feature this week, to be honest. Just not only based on their fixtures, but also in terms of possible returns from these guys. I think we've had the best of them over these past few weeks, right? So they're the next bench option. So then finally, as mentioned at the beginning of the video, there has been some kind of players in my thinking. I've mentioned these not only on the live stream, but just generally speaking, I feel like these are probably going to be the best 2 options really from a perspective of not only targeting fixtures, but also the prices that I can get to. These are the possible transfers I'm looking at. So it is Trossard out for one of either Saka or Martinelli. I can't quite reach Phil Foden. I'm not sure who I would go with. To be honest, I think that it's very close between Saka and Foden. Saka does have the penalty appeal, but we're still not sure that if Martinelli wins the penalty, does he actually take them? That's still a question mark that's unanswered, to be honest. So really, it could just be a direct swap for Trossard to Martinelli. He's actually a lot more highly owned, so he would do a lot more damage to my rank. I think he's nearly 50% owned. So bringing him in, maybe logically from a rank perspective, that maybe makes more sense. But from an exciting perspective, and maybe that kind of double-digit haul potential, I do like Saka on what he's done so far, and just he's showcasing a level of form that we were kind of used to really at the back end of last season, right? So he's maybe more of the exciting pick for me, although that's not to downplay what Martinelli is doing currently on the pitch. I still think both of these are fantastic options, but really, again, because they're playing that European fixture tonight, there maybe is some movement or some flexibility that I'll have to have depending on how many sort of minutes these guys play. They're going to be definitely under a bit of a kind of a watchful eye for me before I make the move. But I'm also conscious as well of the value, right? I don't want to make the move too late because I don't want to lose the value in Trossard if he goes down in price tonight, and I also don't want to lose the possible increase in someone like Saka. So there is every opportunity that I may make this move earlier and before the deadline. But again, if you tune into the stream, then you'll absolutely get confirmation of it. But realistically, I think the City and the Arsenal guys, I know this is much more specific to my team. Of course, your situation may be a little bit different. Maybe you free hit this week and you've already got these assets coming in which case you don't need to think about this transfer. But for my team specifically, these are the 2 kind of main targets I've got based on value and who I can get to. I'm actually 0.1 million away from being able to go to Phil Foden, which is very frustrating. If I would potentially consider Maddison to him, but I just like the Maddison against Wolves fixture. I think holding him now for that 1 extra week where so many people sold him, I guess I'm kind of a little bit reluctant to sell him after his disappointing suspension this week, right? So we'll have to see what transfer I make, but ultimately that is the level of thinking that we're at the moment. I hope you found the video useful, guys, and as always, thank you very much for the support and tuning in. Let me know in the comments below, like I say, how you're getting on, if you've got any transfer dilemmas, or if in general you just need some tips, some help. Feel free to comment below. And of course, as mentioned, if you want to tune into a live stream this weekend ahead of the deadline, I'll be streaming at about 10 o'clock, 1 hour before the deadline this weekend. So feel free to tune into that. Again, asking any questions, captaincy headaches, you name it, I'll be there to support you through it. And thanks again for watching, guys. So I'll see you in the next video.